So when I first watched this film back in August, it really deeply affected me. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much for helping bring this story to life in such a deeply affecting way.
Thank you.
And my question specifically was, I feel really fired up to do action and to specifically fight against fascism and white supremacy in the United States. What is the most effective direct action that white allies can do in order to combat white supremacy in this country?
Wow. Man, let's go to town tomorrow night, you know what I mean? It's like, let's just go right now, let's just head out, you know? I love your passion, thank you so much. I think there's a lot of things, but the thing I talk a lot about is really knowing the history. And really kind of owning the history and talking about the history and sharing the history. And what I mean by the history is just American, what it means to be an American. And really with your friends, talking about these things, and it sounds like how does that help? But the reality of it is that we don't talk about this stuff. We don't talk about it. And we don't talk about the real American history. And the real American history usually we shut down pretty quick and we say, well, can't solve the world's problems today, can we? Ha, ha, ha. Right? And then it just ends the conversation. And the reality of it is that people don't know the history. They don't know the history. And because we don't know the history, the bad guys take advantage of us. And they promote things that really create hate and strengthen hate. And especially they take advantage of young people not knowing the history. And that's a real problem. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed traveling around with the film has been this thing about, you see it on various campuses around the country, this thing about it's okay to be white. Have you guys seen this? Yeah, it's okay to be white. And they're not talking about being Polish or being Irish or being German or something like that. I mean, it's great to be all of those things. What they're talking about is a construction of whiteness, and they're talking about really being in the Klan and being a white supremacist. And because young people don't know the history, they fall for that. They fall for it. And so that's a real problem. I think obviously the other stuff is there's a lot of great organizations around that are doing really good work. And I know Denver has had big protests and things like that. But I think one of the things that I talked about earlier today was that when I grew up, I was fortunate. I was a little kid, but I grew up around guys in my neighborhood that were involved in activism, and this was in the late 60s, early 70s. And so when we saw bad things, there was a response, and we didn't stop the response until it changed. And we're not really seeing that right now. And that's a real problem, I think. And I think we're all feeling like, we're living in this thing where they're in charge now.